lesson, we are going to study the passive voice. Okay, so the passive voice, well, when we speak a language, we use two forms. We speak using active voice, but we also speak using passive voice. There are differences not only in the form, but also in the meaning, okay? Why? Because when we talk or when we speak every day, in the majority of the times we use active voice. Why? Because active voice is more colloquial, more conversational, and a little bit more informal. A little bit. On the contrary, passive voice, not. Passive voice is more formal. Okay? And the emphasis on the two forms is also different. For example, I say, for example, Chibolin, okay, Chibolin, no, sorry, yeah, the Peruvian justice sent Chibolin to prison. Yes, I say this, no? So the Peruvian justice sent Chibolin to prison, okay? The Peruvian justice sent Chibolin to prison. This is a sentence in active voice, okay? But I can also say Chibolin was sent to prison by the Peruvian justice, okay? So the idea, I mean, like the information that I'm transmitting is the same, okay? But the emphasis is different. In the first sentence, in active voice, the emphasis is on this. The Peruvian justice sent Chibolin to prison. In the second sentence, in passive voice, the emphasis is here. It's different. I repeat, in the active voice, the emphasis is on the performer of the action. Who sent Chibolin to prison? The Peruvian justice. Okay, so the emphasis is on who performs the action. The Peruvian justice sent Chibolin to prison. The police sent Chibolin to prison. So the performer of the action, that's the most important in active voice. But in passive voice, the most important or the emphasis is on what happened. What happened to something or what happened to somebody. So what happened? What happened to Chibolin? Chibolin was sent to prison by the Peruvian justice. Chibolin. So what happened to Chibolin? He was sent to prison by the Peruvian justice. Okay, so the emphasis is here on what happened. Also, another characteristic of the passive voice, remember the emphasis is on here what happened. What happened? Chibolin was sent to prison. This is the most important information that I want to transmit. But who performs the action? Not. Sometimes who performs the action is important information, sometimes not. If you consider that who performs the action is important, so you include the information, okay? So if you consider that the performer of the action is important, you include the information. But if you consider that the performer of the action is not important, or is confusing, you don't include the performer. Okay? Yeah, so that is why, for example, when you watch the news, the reporters or the journalists, they always, not always, but most of the time, they use passive voice. Why? Because they always emphasize on what happened. So what happened? Ah, the criminal was sent to prison, no? Or the house was broken into, no? The house was broken into. Who performs the action? Many times is irrelevant. That is why they don't mention. They focus more on what happened, passive voice. Another place, or in another place where you can find passive voices, for example, well, when you listen to the news, when you read the news, but also when you read papers, okay, papers, cuando leen artículos de investigación, so you can also find a passive voice. Why? Because most of the time, well, most of the time, no, the papers focus on the findings, on the results, on the, no, on the findings or the results, on the results of their research. So that's why you will find the that many times these papers are written in passive voice. Yeah, so let's start like that. Okay, so now you already know the differences between active voice and passive voice. Yes, and in the exam, you will have to change. There will be exercises where you will have to change sentences from active voice into passive voice. Okay, so that's what we are going to do here. We are going to learn how to change sentences from active voice into passive voice. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, so for example, this sentence in active voice: millions of people watch mass media every day. Active voice. So in this sentence, you will have to identify three parts: the subject of the sentence, the verb of the sentence, and the object. Okay, the object. So, and here, when identifying the object, you have to be very careful, because sometimes people say, ah, yeah, subject, verb, and they say, ah, yeah, this is the object. No, all of this is the complement. In the complement, there are different parts: the object, sometimes there are adverbs, and of course, there are prepositions, articles. Okay, so all of those small parts form the complement. Yes. So how do you know then what part is the object? So this is the verb. So millions of people watch. You say watch what? Watch mass media. Okay, the answer for the question is the object. Watch what? Mass media. All right. So, and that is how you identify the object. Now that you already know which are the three parts of the sentences, so you can change the position of the words. And so you say this. You say mass media is watched by millions of people. Yes. So notice how you change the position of the words in the sentence. Remember why? Because the emphasis is on what happens. What happens? Mass media is watched by millions of people every day. You say TikToks are watched by millions of people every day. Yes, so what happens? Now, another thing that you need to know is the base form of the passive voice. So, this is the base of the passive voice. So, you need to know that the base form is the verb to be and the past participle. Yes, so this is the base form for verbs in passive voice. So, the verb that you are going to conjugate is the verb to be. For example, present simple, present simple. Okay. Present simple. The verb to be in present simple is, are. Yes, is, are. So you write the verb to be plus the past participle. So this is how you form the verb in present simple in passive voice. That is why here, for example, this verb is in present simple. So in passive voice, the verb in passive voice is going to be this one. The verb to be in the past participle. The verb to be and the past participle. So that is why it's really, really important, tremendously important for you to know what's the tense of the verb. Okay, so here present simple, here also present simple. The verb to be present simple and the past participle. All right, so let's continue. For example, past simple, past simple. So in past simple, you know the verb to be in past simple is was, were, plus the past participle. Remember my example, Chibolin was sent to prison. Chibolin was sent to prison. No, so this is a sentence in passive voice in past simple. Yes. For example, present continuous. Present continuous. In present continuous, you say the verb to be am, is, are, being, plus the past participle. Past participle. Yes, so look. Am, is, are, being, plus the past participle. What about future using will? Future using will. So you say will be plus the past participle. Yes. How about, for example, present perfect? Okay, present perfect is has, auxiliary has been, or have been, plus the past participle. Okay. Then finally, past perfect. Past perfect. So you write had been plus the past participle. Okay, so that is why I say that is really important that you know this is the base form. So the base form be and the past participle the verb to be is the one that you conjugate depending on the tense of the verb, right? Present simple, this. Past simple, present continuous, future, present perfect, and past perfect. Yeah, so, and let's continue analyzing this sentence. So mass media is watched by millions of people. So remember here in the active voice, the subject is the performer of the action. In passive voice, the performer of the action is called agent. Here subject, here agent. The function is the same. Here the subject is the performer of the action. Here the agent is the performer of the action. The difference is the position. Why? Because the emphasis is different. Here this is the emphasis. Here no, this is secondary. Okay? And if you include the agent, you have to write the word by. By. Okay? So that's it. So I recommend copying this or take a photo as you want. But consider this information. Consider this information. Yeah, consider this information.